Okay.
Hi, Cash.
Okay, so good morning. How are you going, Michael?
I'm great. I'm at the beach at Majimba.
Nice.
And it's a little bit chilly, but it's a beautiful day.
Yeah, it's that cold wind. So I'm excited that this is our first little chat. We've been talking about this for ages, and we decided let's just do it and see where it goes. And you know, we really just want to get this style of meditation out more into the broader community. The style of instinctive meditation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, talk about our experiences and you know what distinguishes it from, you know, maybe what's perceived as a more traditional approach to meditation. But I thought maybe we could start with you letting us know about you and your what brought you to meditation, and what was your journey, and how did you come across this instinctive meditation approach?
Sure. If I go back a long time, because I've got grey hair, right? My mum was practicing yoga and meditation when I was in utero pretty well. You know, she was doing pregnancy yoga, mums and bubs yoga. And I suppose my first recollection of meditation like was when I was about 10, 11, 12. Lying on the floor, listening to cassettes about floating in the clouds, you know. And she probably had us lying on the grass looking at the clouds and just being with ourselves and the space around us. So that's my first real recollection of meditation practice, which was pretty perfect to start with, you know, long before Patanjali came into my awareness or anything else. And did a yoga teacher training 2010, 2009, 2010, and that's when it became difficult, I think, sitting cross-legged and trying to clear my mind of thoughts and stuff like that, you know. And there was a lot of sitting still, and every now and then there'd be some quiet, but a little bit of slapping around the head, I suppose, and saying, oh, I'm not doing this right. This is hard. So it was very disciplined. You will sit down, you will sit still, you will focus at the point between the eyebrows and try and find this purple light and then a shining star in there and that type of stuff. And that was that was the instruction.
And that sounds like pretty normal. Like that's what a lot of people think meditation is, I think, and it's the initiation of meditation for many people. But I'm curious, what happened?
Well, I suppose as everybody has life changes, and I had to move through cycles and had a life change, and I was listening to Matt Kahn, who was starting to talk about loving, just being in love with everything pretty well. And then through a Facebook thread, I found that you were having a workshop, and I hadn't even met you at that stage. I think it was 2016.
Yeah.
You were having a workshop with Lorin and Camille, Lorin Roche and Camille Maurine, at the Sunshine Coast, and I said, I'm going there. I don't know what it was. It was just like, I'm going to have that weekend with those people. And within 5 minutes of seeing Lorin and Camille together, sitting out the front of the room on the floor at the same level as everybody else, and the way that they looked at each other and the way that they looked at people, I said, whatever you're doing, I want what you've got. You know, it was like I don't know what it is, but there was a feeling in the room of love, basically. And it was a meditation practice that I was there for, but it was this feeling of love that was there. So that was the start of my exposure to Lorin and Camille, number one, the Radiance Sutras, which is Lorin's what's poetical transliteration of the Vijnana Bhaiva Tantra, and Instinctive Meditation. That's 4 years now, and every day is brighter because of that shift, that change, and the practice that goes with it.
Yeah,
which is, as we'll get, I suppose, speak more of later, different in so many ways to looking here, closing the eyes, and shooting for a star.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I've never actually thought about, when I do talk about my introduction to meditation, I don't often think about my childhood and how that impacted on my experience in terms of meditation. But my childhood, my parents were, well, I was raised quite left brain and scientific and sort of analytic in my approach to life, really. And I was sort of conditioned, I guess through my upbringing to be disciplined, to work hard and to strive and to achieve. And so that was very natural for me. And I embraced that. I would consider myself to be quite a type A person. I pushed and pushed and achieved and achieved. You know, I did well at school. I did well in sports. And so I also was a child who was very curious about the mind. And you know, I would read books on sort of theories of the mind in my teenage years, and I would write poetry to try to figure out, you know, what these thoughts are and to try to understand human behavior. So I still have these books of poems I wrote as a teenager. And sometimes I pick them up, I'm like, whoa, that's really quite intense for a teenage girl. But, you know, I guess in some sense that sort of natural process, that phase of life of trying to work it all out, what life and who am I, and those sort of big questions. And so I you know, did well at school. I went to university, and I signed up for a bachelor degree in science, again, very left brain. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to move sort of in the field of medicine, maybe in drug design, pharmaceutical. That's what I thought. At the time, it was so funny. I was always into like health food and being healthy and as a kid, but I thought that's where I need to be. And anyway, first semester, I realized I hated working in labs, and in terms of the repetitive process of testing things on agar plates. And so anyway, I took a big shift. I continued on in my degree, but I changed all my units and finished up with a degree in psychology. So I loved studying psychology. I was just fascinated by all the theories and philosophies and studies and research on the human minds and the abnormal mind, abnormal psychology, and counseling. But at the end of it, I was still sort of, I completed the degree, I got the piece of paper, but I was 20 when I finished, and I was like disillusioned. I thought there's something still sort of not right, something missing. It all seems to pathologize the human mind, like it's looking for something that's wrong, and you know, and looking to have some kind of intervention, whether that's pharmaceutical or, you know, more sort of therapeutic in terms of counseling and cognitive behavioral therapies to change and move back to what would be considered a normal sort of healthy mind. Again, I was fascinated, but for me, there was something not right. I was like, but what about, what about me? You know, what about us and relationships? And so as a curious and adventurous and still quite athletic young woman, I bought a ticket out of Australia. I traveled the world for 7 years. And I really started to get into religion. I went and lived with a Muslim family. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. All these different religious rituals and practices they have. And then Hinduism, I just dove into Hinduism. And then finally I found Buddhism. And I was like, this is it. I read every book I could. I attended workshops and lectures. I did the 10-day silent retreats, and I thought, this is it. They really, really articulate their theories of the mind in a very scientific, analytic way. Very structured approach to understanding and taming this wild, crazy mind. And I was like, this is it. Shortly after my, I guess, well, at some point during my sort of journey of Buddhism and trying to really bring the practices into my life and to try to still figure out this thing we call the mind, I found yoga. And this was just like, oh my gosh, I love movement. I was an athlete, I was a dancer, and then the combination of mind, body, breath, relaxation, I thought, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. So I found yoga in the year 2000. In 2005, I decided I wanted to be a yoga teacher. So I didn't want to just, just teach yoga poses. I was like, I really still wanted, like, for me, the philosophies and the practice of meditation is really important. So I sort of sought high and low for the type of teacher training I wanted to, sign up to. And I went to this place in Melbourne, and I signed up for this. It was like an 18-month diploma in, they called it classical meditation, classical yoga. And most of what we were taught and had to study and had to practice was meditation. And I thought, great, that's really what I want to know about it. And the Sanskrit, it's all the theories and philosophy that I want to really grasp and teach it, because I think it's amazing. So I packed up, moved down to Melbourne, and we had to have sort of had to attend asana class each week, and then a meditation class each week, and then attend like weekend trainings, and we had to submit a journal each week. So we were instructed to meditate 1 hour a day. With the approach of Patanjali's style of meditation. And for any viewers who are not sure, Patanjali is kind of like the grandfather of yoga, and he wrote this book called the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And the opening line of the Yoga Sutras is, and from memory, is yoga is chitti vritti nirodha. And so this has been translated as yoga is the cessation of the mind waves, or the stopping of the mind, the stilling of the thoughts. And I thought, okay, I'm going to get an A+. I'm going to nail this. I'm like a high achiever. I'm going to stop, I'm going to just get this meditation thing. So I'll do the hour, I'll submit my journal, and I would sit in my room and sit up straight and close my eyes. And then I'd I would just keep thinking about, like what I was going to have for dinner and who I was going to hang out with after class. And I loved running. I was a runner. And so I'd often sort of have these multi-sensory experiences of meditation, of me running. For me, that was like a really meditative experience. And so I'd put all this in my journal, my meditation journal. I'd submit it each week, and it would come back to me with all these like red crosses and lines. That's not meditation. You're not meditating. Meditate, like literally. And it was like, I kept getting this feedback that I was a failure. And again, for somebody who's a high achiever, that's a pretty hard pill to stomach. But I was like, no, I'm going to keep at it. So I completed the course. I kept trying to do meditation. I started teaching. So this is 2005. When was it? 2004. I started the course. 2005. I finished the course, and I was teaching, and I went to do these 10-day silent retreats of Vipassana, a Buddhist approach to meditation. And I just remember vividly having this experience one day. I was on the beach with my dog, and I was running, and I was loving it. I was looking at the oceans. I was loving the feeling of the kind of synchronized movement of my body and the breath, and my beloved dog beside me. And I just thought, you know what? I hate meditation. I hate it. And I'm sorry for the viewers, we should have a language warning on here, but I literally went, fuck it. I'm not going to do it anymore. I hate it so much. It makes me tense and angry. I'm just going to go for a run instead. And I'll keep teaching it. And so a few years went past, and I felt like a little bit of a fake and a phony, because I was a yoga teacher and I was teaching stillness of mind. My instruction, language was all about stillness of mind and stopping the thoughts and bring your mind back to the breath, and those cues that we're all so familiar with if you've been to a yoga class or a meditation class. But I wasn't doing meditation myself anymore. And then I attended, but I was at peace with that decision, because it just made me feel, and also during that phase of becoming a yoga teacher, practicing meditation, I was often unwell. I was often getting flus and cold sores. I had a really unhealthy romantic relationship with someone. And there was lots of aspects in my life that just I wasn't enjoying life. But I was a yoga teacher and teaching how to be happy.
I'm sure you weren't. I'm sure you're not the only yoga teacher out there who's teaching things that they don't necessarily embody.
Yeah, I think now. And so then I remember I hosted this teacher who was a teacher from America, and she read this line from a book called the Radiance Sutras. And I was in an asana class doing this very kind of fluid, dancey, yoga practice, strong, and I was fit and strong and healthy. And then this line, this poem, this sutra was read, and I just remember just going, what is that? I need to know more about this sutra, this meditation. And so that led me to train with, and I thought it was just the yoga style, and I went and trained with Shiva Ray in Bali, and it was really through those two teachers that I found the Radiance Sutras, and I found the author of the Radiance Sutras. His name is Dr. Lorin Roche. And from there in 2010, I heard he was coming to Australia. And I thought, no matter what, I have to go and train with this man and his wife, Camille, Maurine. So that was in Brisbane in 2010. And I went to this weekend-long workshop. It was like a Friday night, Saturday, Sunday in this little community hall. And I was just blown away. I was like, I need more. I was like hungry. I needed to devour. I was like, finally, this is what I've been looking for, maybe since childhood. It was this beautiful, natural, instinctive approach to meditation that I'd maybe already been practicing as a runner, as a dancer. And anyway, so instinctive meditation, do you want to speak about instinctive meditation a little bit, Michael? I feel like I just took the mic a lot. I felt relieved anyway. It was literally like liberating and relieved. I was like, wow, that there is another way. That's what it was. It's like, finally, it's like a revolution inside, but a feeling of freedom. And I was able to accept myself, because previously I was ashamed, I was a failure, and I kept getting reminded and reinforced this message that you can't meditate.
I think what you're saying is probably a lot of people have experienced. Yeah. One of the things that you said there along the way was when you were talking about the Buddhist stopping this crazy mind.
The monkey minds. Yeah.
Stopping this crazy mind, and what I think one of the great things about the approach of instinctive meditation is to recognize that it's natural when we give ourselves time and space to be with ourselves, for thoughts to arise, for feelings to arise, sensations in the body to arise. And we are taught to allow that to happen and to hold ourselves tenderly inside that. from a place of love. And there's no the discipline is to give yourself time and to not smack yourself around.
But it doesn't feel like a discipline, because it feels like a luxurious indulgence. Like you don't feel like, oh, I've got to go meditate, I've got to set aside 15 minutes. It's like, oh my God, I can't wait to meditate. It's so different.
So that's it's an invitation to be in love with your own life force, right? To feel that connection with yourself and that naturalness of yourself. And that's I think that instinctiveness, that naturalness is what is, rather than shooting for a goal. One of the things I think that I heard Lorin say recently in one of his webinars was that there isn't a goal in the meditation practice. So in this half an hour, I'm not going to achieve something. A successful meditator has a life that is fuller, richer, and has more love in loving for itself, better relationships. So the measurement of the quality of the practice isn't that I achieved something in my meditation, right? So there was no crossing out of with red pen after journaling your meditation saying that that's a failure, that's a failure. Yeah, but it's all of those things that you had experienced during your teacher training, we would now say that is completely natural. That happens for everybody. And to coach someone to love and accept that is what we do in our instinctive meditation approach.
And I think, you know, the traditional approach or what the wider population maybe have experience of meditation, and in no ways do I want to express any disrespect for the traditions and the traditional approach. I think it definitely has a place and a value, and has brought so much knowledge and into the world, and I just say do what works, really. You know, for some people that approach is really helpful and healthy maybe at some point in their lives, but I feel like in some ways for us, you know, who live in the world and we, you know, have to go to work, and we've got dogs and children or stepchildren and partners and ex-partners, and we do need something, and we need our meditation not to be, you know, removing ourselves from life and just creating distance and shutting up and shutting down and stopping the thoughts. We need something that will help us to thrive in life and to you know, have these skills to be able to navigate the wild ride that is life, that's rich with emotion and thought and the highs and the lows, and that's what meditation should provide us, this ability to be able to enjoy this one precious life that we have, but also the skills to be able to not just tolerate and accept, but to appreciate that, to be a human and to live a life that is rich and full and fulfilling and meaningful. We need to embrace the full spectrum of our emotions and our thoughts, and I think that was for me, it's this key shift in our attitude in meditation that was different. On the one side, it was like, shut up, don't listen to that thought, just sit still and calm the mind. And on the other hand, it was like, well, just embrace the movement, make space for the moving minds, allow the flow of sensation. There's sensation when you meditate. You feel things. And that, again, it's a very simple distinction, but it takes practice, and along the way we're building skills, and sometimes we need a little help, which is where Lorin and Camille have, like you said, radically changed not just meditation, but my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
My health and my relationships and my approach to moving through life. And and so I know you and I, we've had a couple of opportunities to teach together, and we came up with some rules.
We did.
Do you want to talk about them?
We did. And
it's not just us, it sort of comes from Lorin and Camille.
That's right. That's right. I suppose they're birthed out of Lorin and Camille's teachings. One of the things that I wanted to touch on first, though,
sure,
is some people love to know that something's coming out of tradition.
Sure.
Yep. And there's going to be people who read this and say, well, what's the tradition that this idea is coming from? We know that Lorin has transliterated a Sanskrit text that is hundreds of years old.
Yes.
You know, the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra is held by the Kashmir Shaivism.
Yes.
Lineage, yeah. It comes out of the Himalayas. You know, it's not something that he's made up. Sure. In the last 20, 30, 40 years. Mm-hmm. It's something he's lived in and out of for the last 50 years, as well as the work that he's done in his PhDs.
Sure.
At University of California. So we've had the unique opportunity for someone who's had a tradition, been in tradition, and they've said, go and teach this to people who are living lives of Westerners, rich, full, have jobs, have kids, have lovers. The holders of the tradition, yeah, they were monks and swamis and the like, who they were holding the tradition for us at this time to hand it over to us to live now.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't want to live the life of nuns or monks.
No, and they practice detachment, don't they? Detachment from those things. You just
yeah. And in the text, the richness of the text gives opportunity for loving all of these things that are in us, loving the elements that we're made of, loving the instincts that come up as we live our life. Loving people, loving our loved ones, seeing the face of a loved one.
Yeah.
As a meditation practice, there's so much. But even in that, the first 4 or 5 sutras are all breath meditations, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
it's very tangible. Something we can all
of the traditions have focus on your breath. It's just that we don't focus on our breath.
We don't concentrate.
We don't concentrate it. We let our breath be a connection with the world and something to love and cherish.
Yeah, to appreciate rather than control and watch. Yeah. So watching implies vision. It's to feel all the tangible, sensual textures of breathing, and to find something that you love about breathing and that delights you. And we, rather than focusing and concentrating on the breath, we're just simply appreciating it, loving it.
Exactly.
But when I say simply, it's so rich as well.
And all these things are simply doorways and gateways to allow ourselves to have life come up for us. Rather than saying, I've got to get back to that breath. I've got to get back to that breath. If I'm not focusing on the breath, then I'm failing. No, it's not like that. This is something that I love that much, and the feeling of the air coming in and going out. What's interesting about it? There's an invitation there to be with it, and then what happens after that is the meditation.
Yeah.
There's a doorway, there's a gateway in with something that you love, and then there's a flow that follows that. And rule number 1 was, when I follow that, my own life force, my own subconscious that comes up, when I start to think about the to-do list or the shopping list, rule number one is I don't spank myself for thoughts that come up.
No inner spanking.
No inner spanking. That was rule number one, yeah.
Yeah, and we're coming up to half an hour, Michael, and I really want to try to keep it to 30 minutes. So maybe we can talk about the other rules in the next episode. But I just, you brought up the word gateway and doorway.
Yeah.
And I think that's another really clear distinction of this approach that it feels appropriate to talk about, that even on the cover it says 112 gateways to the yoga of wonder and delight. Yeah. And so we use a gateway, which could be a million, billion, trillion things. Mm-hmm. And we all have our own unique set of gateways, and that's a whole nother conversation in itself. Yeah. But we use a tool or a technique, a mantra, a mind tool, such as the breath, or such as, you know, a beautiful poetic sutra. We use it as a gateway or a doorway to go into our rich, vibrant, moving, flowing inner world. We don't cling to the gateway. We're not rigidly following this technique and bringing our mind back. It's sort of a loose, gentle, like you said, an invitation. So we're using it as an invitation to dive in. And I think if we were to be goal focused, and we're not, we, you know, in the course of our journey of instinctive meditation, we're along the way creating a toolkit, you know, like a carpenter has a tool belt. A teacher's got the little trolley with all the tools in there, and at any one time in your life you'll have your own completely customized set of tools that are unique to you and work for you and loved by you, that you would pull out at different stages and phases of your day or your life. And again, instinctive meditation, it's instinctive. We instinctively create these customizable tools and techniques that we will use as doorways in. And then we have this whole set of attitudes. Did you want to speak about doorways?
The doorway, there's as many doorways as there are people, right?
Or more.
But there's the skill set of acceptance and love within the practice. That is I suppose it's unraveling what people think is supposed to happen in meditation, and recognizing that what happens to you and everybody what happens to everybody is completely unique, but it also happens to everybody.
Like unraveling or unlearning what we
unlearning what we think is supposed to happen in meditation practice. That's what we want to help people to do. I just want to say one little thing from my perspective. On the back of my mum's toilet door, she had a thing by, I think it was written by Thomas Jefferson. And one of the last lines of it is, to know that someone has breathed easier because you have existed is success. Yeah. This is for me, this is the way that I'll look back when my life is successful, is that if we can help people to understand and embrace this instinctive meditation, their lives will be more easeful. They'll breathe easier. They'll live a richer life, you know. So for me, this is the way that we do it, is to give people the tools and the support to have a rich instinctive practice. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. You've got that meaning and purpose and passion, and you know, I often ask myself as well, and for a little while I was like, what is my passion? And I think similarly, I think a lot of the problems and issues with the world, and we can look at environmentally, you know, humanitarily, economically, it could be reduced down to this disconnect with ourselves.
Yeah.
And yoga And I use yoga and meditation sort of interchangeably. Yoga means connection.
Yep.
And if we can help people, this is my big change the world goal. If we can help people to feel that loving, beautiful, natural, instinctive connection to who they are, and embrace and love all of who they are, as you say, there's a ripple effect, and that will go out and that will help heal relationships that they have with other people, heal their own relationship and others, and have this beautiful, loving relationship to themselves and then to others. And that will maybe translate out into their life a little more, the choices they make, and in terms of, you know, food and environment, and you know, maybe even who they vote for, and all these things, that there's it's all coming from that place. The decisions and thoughts and actions and words that people use will come from that connected inner self, rather than that sort of disconnected self. But I think that's a really good place to end, that this practice can help you to reconnect to your passion and your purpose, and give you more pleasure and enjoyment and fulfillment out of your life. And hopefully we can help guide you along your journey.
That's what we want to do.
Yeah. All right. This has been great, Michael. We'll see you next time.
Next week.
Yes.
Awesome, Tash.